Our top story today, US President Donald Trump is holding a new briefing in Doha. This comes after the slew of joint agreements signed between the leaders of the two nations. Let's cut across.
To the hills of Tennessee, across the plain.
We will bring you more information and when that briefing starts. Moving on now, a Russian delegation landed in Istanbul for first direct peace talks with Ukraine in more than 3 years, but without President Vladimir Putin, despite calls from world leaders for his attendance. As the talks unfold, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky arrives in Ankara to meet with Turkish President Erdogan. Only after this crucial meeting will Zelensky decide what steps to take next in peace talks with Russia. US President Donald Trump said today in Qatar that he could still travel to Turkey for the first direct Russia-Ukraine talks aimed at ending their more than 3-year war if progress is made. Let's listen in to what Trump had to say in Qatar.
Because of what we're doing today and tomorrow, but you know, if something happened, I'd go on Friday if it was appropriate. But we have people right now negotiating, and I think that I just hope that Russia and Ukraine are able to do something because it has to stop.
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio is speaking at a NATO meeting in Antalya, Turkey, said there was no military solution to the conflict, and Trump was open to virtually any mechanism that would lead to peace.
What I hope will be, I believe, will be a very successful leaders level meeting. There is no military solution to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. This war is going to end not through a military solution, but through a diplomatic one. And the sooner an agreement can be reached on ending this war, the less people will die and the less destruction there will be. Everyone else impatient who want to see it happen. The big issue on everyone's mind is what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. The President of the United States has been abundantly clear he wants the war to end. He's open to virtually any mechanism that gets us to a just, enduring, and lasting peace. And that's what he wants to see. He wants to see an end to wars. He wants to keep wars from happening. And but it's difficult. But the president has just submitted a budget for $1 trillion of defense spending, which is unheard of. It's unparalleled. And it's not just spending money. It's spending money on the capabilities that are needed for the threats of the 21st century. All kinds of different threats that look different from the threats in the past.
US President Donald Trump is holding a new briefing in Doha. This comes after the slew of joint agreements signed between the leaders of the two nations. Let's cut across to it now.
To embody American strength and pride, the warriors of the United States Armed Forces. It's an amazing group of people. You are, without a doubt, the greatest fighting force in the history of the world. That's the way it is. I said it last night. I said it strong. We have the strongest military in the world. Not even a contest. We have the best equipment. Nobody has equipment like us. Nobody has the planes or the missiles or anything else. And as your Commander-in-Chief, I'm here to say that America's military will soon be bigger, better, stronger, and more powerful than ever before. We just did a budget. The budget was the highest by far, over $1 trillion. That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. And hopefully it's peace through strength. Hopefully we don't have to use it. Because if you use it, I feel sorry for the other guy, but we don't want to have to use it. I want to recognize a true warrior, and that's our Secretary of Defense. They put him through hell, the radical left did, and he's incredible. You know, he went to the best schools, he did the best stuff. He's a smart guy, and he's a great guy, and I just listened to his words standing backstage when he was speaking, and he really has it right on the peg. Pete Hegseth, he's going to be great. You're going to love this guy. You're going to love him. And I also want to influence you to clap for a man who's a great influencer. In fact, my son, Barron, said, "Dad, you got to do an interview with somebody I hadn't heard of." But my son knew very well. He knows everyone. He said, "Dad, this is before the election. You know, we won in a landslide, in case you hadn't known." But he said, "Dad, you got to do an interview with a guy named Theo Vaughn." I said, "Who the hell is Theo Vaughn?" He said, "Dad, he's such a big guy. You got to do an interview." So he knew all the names. I didn't know the names. And where is Theo? He's around here someplace, I think. Theo, thank you very much. That's Barron. You know Barron. He said, "You got to do with it." We had a good time, right? Had a good time. We had like 270 million people that listened. So you know what? I think Barron was right. Thank you for being here, Theo. Appreciate it. Also, Lee Greenwood, right from the beginning, that song went on. And, you know, that song was a successful song, but we made it the most, number one. We made that song, it's the top of the list of that type of song. That's a pretty big, I don't want to go into the list because you'll get upset with me if I do. Like the national anthem and things. It's like, and it became unbelievable. And I was saying you could get Elvis or anybody else to do a song. There's nothing, that was my intro song right from the beginning. Because as you know, we won 3 elections, okay? And some people want us to do a 4th. I don't know, we'll have to think about that. You saw the new hat. The hottest hat is, it says, Trump 2028. We're driving the left crazy when you see that. We didn't need that hat, but it's been an amazing period of time. And when Lee Greenwood did that song, it went from the first day. I came out, we played it. It was a great song, but we didn't know. And then I did it a second time, a third time. And that was 968 rallies ago. Can you believe that? We did 968 rallies. There's another hat says 968. I said, what the hell does that mean? That's the number of rallies. I said, you have to be kidding. But from the very beginning, and we played Lee's song, and it was the walk-on. And then for the last inauguration, I had all the big singers, they wanted to do a song for me, and they wanted to have me walk on to their song. And my people, oh, that would be nice, that would be nice. And when I heard about it, we were all set. We had a lot of them. And I heard about it. I said, I'm not switching. Are you kidding me? I'm not switching. So we stick with Lee. But nobody could have done better than Lee. And he's been so loyal and so great. And it's been really about 9 years of that stuff. And, you know, we had really, honestly, we had 3 unbelievable campaigns. And it's been an honor. And there's nobody been stronger than the military in terms of backing us, nobody. So I just want to thank you all very much. Great honor. Thank you very much. And also with us today is really a great talent and somebody who's one of the most popular television hosts in history. Still looks young to me, but he's been doing it a long time. But he's an incredible man. He's always seems to take my side, and therefore I like him even more. But he has common sense. We talk about common sense all the time, but he's one of the biggest in the history of television, the great Sean Hannity. He's here someplace. Sean, stand up wherever you are. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. Where is he? Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean. He was a little shy for a change. I've never seen that. We're also grateful to have a very excellent ambassador, Timmy Davis. Everybody loves him. Timmy, thank you very much. Thank you, Timmy. Along with your great military leaders, these are real leaders. These are real tough cookies. Lieutenant General Derek Trapper France, Major General David Shoemaker, Brigadier General Richard Deuce Dickens, Chief Master Sergeants Chris Murphy and Joshua Wiener, and Colonel Brian Ellis. We want to thank you, amazing people. They're real leaders. This is one of the great bases anywhere in the world, and we're lucky to have them. Thank you very much, fellas. And a very special thanks as well to our partners from the Qatar Army and Armed Forces. Let's give them a really special hand. They are so great. They are so great. And in particular, we want to give a little special applause for somebody that's been so good. Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister, Saud. Where are you, Saud? Thank you very much. Great. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor. Yesterday, we signed an agreement for Qatar to purchase $42 billion worth of the finest American military hardware, including THAAD missile batteries, Pegasus refueling aircraft, Desert Vipers, light armored vehicles, amphibious combat vehicles, the MQ-9B, and the Sky Guardian drones. That's all the best stuff. If it isn't, please stand up and tell me and we'll get something else. But I believe it's the best. Qatar will also be investing $10 billion to support this massive base in the coming years, and there's no place like it, they say. And a man, the leader, Amir, he's been a special friend of mine for a long time, long before I did the political thing. When he was a novice, he was a young guy, and we got to know each other, and we liked each other and got along long before I ever thought of running for president. And it's nice when you have that kind of a relationship. We got along right from the beginning. He's a special guy. He's a great leader of your country. So I want to just congratulate you on that, and all the Qatari people, a spectacular group, and it's an honor. And I don't think our friendship's ever been stronger than it is right now. It's you had the last administration. I don't know if they knew too much about what was happening, but this administration does, and you will never see anything like the relationship that we have. We just left Saudi Arabia, as you know, and you have a fantastic crown prince. He is a fantastic guy likewise, and we're going from here, we're going to UAE and United Arab Emirates, and we're going to see another leader. We have, it's an amazing part of the world, and our relationship has never been stronger. And you're going to see that as time goes by, but with us it's not words. As you know, I'm in the midst of a very historic trip, visiting the key partners in the Gulf. We had just some incredible stopovers and a wonderful day. Yesterday we had the dinner, however, with His Highness, the Emir, and he is, I'm going to see him in a little while. I'm going to be saying goodbye to him, but we'll be saying hello again very, very soon. But no visit in the Gulf would be complete without stopping to salute the people who keep America safe, strong, and free, and the patriots of the United States Army, Navy, Space Force. I love Space Force. That's I have to say, that's my little baby. You know, I started that. They said, that will never work. Oh, it worked. You know, we were way behind Russia and China, and now we're way, way ahead of everybody. So Space Force, I'm very happy. That was mine. You know, not since the Air Force has that happened. So we created a force, and it's a big force, and it's a brilliant force. So Space Force, thank you for doing such a great job. The Marines, and of course, the United States Air Force. Udeid is the home of the legendary 379th Air Expeditionary Wing, known as the Grand Slam Wing. We also have the 1st Expeditionary Theater Support Group. You got them all. And let's not forget the top-notch Army soldiers from the 11th Air Defense Artillery, the Imperial Brigade. Thank you, fellas. That's great. We also have the 8th Expeditionary Air Mobility Squadron, known as Mighty Ochos. Where are the Ochos? We don't want to fight with them. All of you are the tip of the spear. You're the finest we have. Anywhere in the world, you're the finest we have. You're the finest anyone has in the fight against the enemies of civilization. You're the people that are defeating chaos, combating terror, defending our interests, supporting our allies, securing our homeland, and making America incredibly proud. And you know what? Making America great again. That's what's happened. It's happened very fast. Happened very fast. As president, my priority is to end conflicts, not start them, but I will never hesitate to wield American power if it's necessary to defend the United States of America or our partners. And this is one of our great partners right here. When we're threatened, America's military will answer our enemies without even thinking about it. We have overwhelming strength and devastating force. And we had people that didn't like to talk about that, you know. They didn't want to talk about the level of quality that we have. They didn't want to talk about anything. We're going to have a big parade this year, you know, in Washington, D.C., a real parade. And I'll tell you just a little story. A week ago, May 8th, I'd call up a certain country, and they said, oh, we're celebrating the victory of World War II today, sir. Oh, really? I'd speak to one of the presidents or prime ministers or whatever. And they were so busy, oh, yes, we're celebrating the victory of World War II. Then I speak to another one, and they were celebrating. And the fact is, Russia was celebrating. France was celebrating. Everybody was celebrating but us. And we're the ones that won the war. We won the war. And they helped. But without us, they don't win the war. We're all speaking German. You know that, right? Without us, they're speaking German, maybe a little Japanese, too. We won the war, and we're the only ones that didn't celebrate. So what I did is I got my crack staff over there, and we did it every time. We have May 8th, and we also have the date in November, that sacred date in November for World War I, because we won that war, too. But think of it, I'm calling. Now, we love France, right? But I think we did a little more to win the war than France did. Do we agree? You know, I don't want to be a wise guy. But when Hitler made his speech at the Eiffel Tower, I would say that wasn't exactly ideal. And I called up the president, Macron, good guy, by the way. Donald, we are celebrating our victory over the Germans. Oh, that's wonderful. No, we don't take credit for what we do. And I said, what the hell? Every country I've spoken to in the last week is celebrating the war but us. Isn't that terrible? So we're going to be doing holidays. But I said it has to be a working holiday because, you can only do so many of them. We have a lot of holidays. I'm not so sure we should have them, and you don't have to go to work. Our country has to go to work. So we're going to have a working holiday for each one of those 2 dates. And we're going to be celebrating, too, because we should celebrate more than anybody else. And others did help a lot, but nobody helped like us. We wouldn't have won. I mean, the fact is, not winnable without us. And now we're stronger than ever before. You know, I rebuilt the military in my first term. We had a great first term every way. We had the greatest economy ever, stock market up 88%, the biggest rise ever, all of that stuff. But the second term is going to be even better. We have over $10 trillion going to be invested in our country. And this little tour didn't hurt, I will tell you, between the 3 great places. I recently announced that I'll approve an unprecedented $1 trillion, as I told you. It's going to end up going higher, investment in the U.S. Armed Forces, and that's a record as part of that effort. I signed an order to build the Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our country from missile attack. Is everybody okay with that? It was called the Iron Dome, but I changed it to the Golden Dome. I thought it was a little more beautiful, maybe a little more modern or something. But we're going to have it, and it's amazing, actually, what they do. It's going to cost many billions of dollars. All made in the USA. I want it all made in the USA. The days of making our parts all over the world because we have wonderful partners. No, it's America first now. America first. We're going to make it all in the USA. And we're going to, by the way, it's America first, but we're going to take care of other countries. We're going to have plenty left over because we're doing things now. You know, 6 months ago, our country was laughed at. Now our country is respected again at a level that it hasn't seen in a long, long time, and we're going to keep it that way. And our Air Force will soon have the world's first and only 6th-generation fighter jet, the F-47. Why did they name it 47? Does anybody know? I don't know. That was a nice thing. But it's quite the plane. They say there's never been anything done. But we're also looking at an increased version of the F-35. I think we're going to call it the F-55, which will be a double-engine plane. I like two engines on a plane. I'm sorry if I say that. But does that make sense to anybody? Does anybody agree? General, do you agree with that? I like it. Thank you. So many of you, sir, this engine is infallible. No engine's infallible. I like two engines on a plane. Should have been made with two engines. If I were here, you would have had two engines, and you would have had a lot of other victories, by the way. But we're going to do, when you think of it, Russia, Ukraine would have never started. October 7th, Israel would have never happened because Iran, as you know, was broke. They were unable to fund Hamas or anything else. It wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have had the disaster of Afghanistan, the leaving. We were getting out, but we're getting out with dignity and strength. We're going to keep Bagram Air Base. We weren't going to give that up because it's 1 hour away from China. 1 hour. You know who occupies it now? China. The damage that administration did to this country is legendary, allowing 21 million people through an open border where anybody could walk into the United States of America is something that will never be forgiven. Grossly incompetent and evil, bad people too, bad people. But the real strength of our military doesn't come from its fighter jets. It really comes from our people. That's you. It comes from our people. You're unbelievable people. The aptitude and all of the things you have to do what you do. You know, I look at some of those engines, and I'm a pretty smart cookie. I would tell you I'm real smart. And I look at you, and you take those engines apart and put them back together, blindfolded, and fix them up. It's amazing what you're able to do. And then to fly them, just incredible. You're incredible. You're a very special group of people. And that's why in my 2026 budget includes across the board. Maybe you don't want it. Look, for the good of the country, you don't have to take it. Pay raises for each and every one of you, substantial pay raises. But you don't have to take it. You don't have to take it. You can go to your commanding officer and say, sir, I'd rather not take that pay. I love my country, sir. I refuse to take it. Anybody here, raise your hand, please, if you refuse to take it. Let's see here. All right. Well, at least we have smart people. That's good. So you do your duty for us, and as Commander-in-Chief, I will always do and fulfill my duty to you. That's what I'm doing. Under the Trump administration, we're liberating everything in our armed forces from really radical social experiments carried out under the previous administration and beyond that, and actually beyond that, and restoring the strong and fierce spirit of the American warrior and the American fighter. On day one, I signed an executive order stopping our service members from being forced to endure endless training sessions on political correctness. We don't care if you're politically correct. And I directed the reinstatement of all patriots expelled from our military by the COVID vaccine mandate, which should have never happened. They're being returned at their former rank with full back pay. Very important. After years of not making our enrollment targets, to me, this is the biggest thing. Our military suddenly has the best recruiting numbers that perhaps they've ever had, but certainly in 30 years. Think of that. You go back 6 months ago, we couldn't get people to join the military. Nobody wanted your job. Now everybody wants your job. So we went from having the worst numbers we've ever had in terms of recruitment. That included police officers also, firefighters, but police officers. But in the military, think of that. You couldn't get people to join the military, and now we're brimming over. We have the highest numbers we probably, minimum 30 years, but probably have ever had, because there's such an incredible spirit now in our country. We have a whole new spirit, and it began on a date, November 5th. That was Election Day. Under the Trump administration, America is back, and America's military is back. bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Since my inauguration, service members stationed throughout this region have terminated 83 major terrorists operating across Iraq, Syria, and Somalia, including the #2 just recently global leader of ISIS. And I knocked out ISIS, as you know, in my term. They said it was going to take 4 years. I said, why 4 years? That's a long time. And then I met a General Raisin Kane. He's now the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, right? And he was great. He said, we can do it in 3 weeks, sir. I said, well, I was told 4 years, General, by your television generals in Washington, D.C. And he didn't want to be disrespectful to them. He said, sir, I'm telling you, if you want, we can do it in 3 weeks. And that's what he did. He knocked out 100% of the ISIS caliphate in 3 weeks. Should I tell you a little long, boring story about that? Yes? Okay, some of you have heard it because it's sort of a cool story, but I was wondering why we couldn't defeat, ISIS. We have this great military, all these great jets that we have new all over the place, the best in the world, the fastest, the best. And I went out and I said to a certain general in Washington, D.C., a television general, not much of there's a real general on television. You have the television guys and you have the real generals. And I said, General, how long will it take us? Because it doesn't make sense. We're spending a lot of money on defeating ISIS, and they don't have great equipment. They, in many cases, don't even have equipment. They're vicious, and they are good fighters. We